My name is Claire Morrison. I am 31 years old. 3 days ago, I walked into a hotel lobby and saw something that stopped my heart completely. My husband was sitting in the corner with another woman. His hand was on hers. He was leaning in close, whispering something that made her smile. I stood there frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe. So I did the only thing I could think of. I took out my phone and recorded everything. Then I sent it to my mother-in-law. What happened in the next 30 minutes changed everything I thought I knew about my marriage, my husband, and myself. Before I tell you what really happened that night, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Heartway Stories. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. Now let me tell you the whole story. 3 days ago started like any other Thursday. I work as a graphic designer from home, and my husband works as a regional sales manager, which means he travels sometimes for client meetings, presentations, product launches, things like that. We have been married for 6 years. We have a 5-year-old daughter named Lily, and life, to put it plainly, has become a routine. A very quiet, very busy, very disconnected routine. I want to be honest about that because I think honesty matters here. The last year had been hard. Not hard in the obvious ways, not the ways people talk about openly. We were not fighting. We were not yelling. We were not saying cruel things to each other at night. It was quieter than that, and somehow, because of that, harder to name. My husband would come home from work and I would be finishing a design project at the kitchen table. He would make himself something to eat, check his emails, and we would exchange maybe 20 words before Lily's bedtime routine pulled both of our attention. After she fell asleep, I would go back to my laptop. He would watch something on his phone. We would fall asleep next to each other without really being next to each other. Weekends were filled with errands, grocery runs, Lily's soccer practice, birthday parties for other people's kids. We were functioning perfectly. We were completely lost. I told myself this was just a phase. I told myself this is what happens when you have a young child and demanding jobs and a mortgage and a life that has weight to it. I told myself that love does not have to look like candlelight and conversation every night. I told myself a lot of things, but there was something underneath all that telling. A quiet ache that I could not explain away. A feeling that I was living beside my husband instead of with him. That we had become roommates who loved each other from a careful, polite distance. That Thursday morning, he kissed Lily on the top of her head, told me he had a client dinner that evening and would be home late, and left. Normal. Completely normal. I spent the morning working, picked Lily up from school at 3, helped her with a craft project, made dinner for the two of us, put her to bed at 8. Normal Thursday. At around 8:30, my friend sent me a text. She was downtown near the Meridian Hotel, and she mentioned she had seen my husband walking through the lobby with a woman. She said she almost did not message me because she did not want to be wrong. She said she was sorry. She said she hoped it was nothing. I sat on the edge of my bed for a long moment after I read that. He had told me he had a client dinner. The Meridian Hotel was 12 minutes from our house. I knew it. It was a beautiful hotel, the kind with a grand lobby and a bar with low lighting and leather chairs, arranged in intimate little groupings away from the main entrance. I had been there once for a work event 2 years ago. I told myself there was a reasonable explanation. I told myself I trusted him. I told myself a lot of things, and then I picked up my keys. I did not call him. I do not know why. Looking back, I think some part of me was afraid of what I would hear in his voice. Whether it would be guilt, or confusion, or something worse. So I drove the 12 minutes in silence with the radio off, my hands tight on the wheel, my chest feeling like something heavy was sitting directly on it. I parked in the hotel garage and walked through the side entrance into the lobby. The lobby of the Meridian is the kind of space that makes you feel small in a beautiful way. High ceilings, warm amber lighting, a long marble front desk, clusters of furniture in deep blues and greens, a bar area along the far left wall. People in business attire. A couple near the elevator with luggage. A man on his phone near the fountain. And there, in the far right corner, seated in 2 low velvet chairs angled toward each other, was my husband. He was not alone. She was maybe 40, professionally dressed, dark hair pulled back, and she was laughing softly at something he had just said. His hand was resting on the arm of her chair, close to hers. He leaned in slightly as he spoke to her, the way you lean in when you want someone to hear something meant only for them. I could not hear what he was saying. I was too far away, but I did not need to hear it. My legs stopped moving. I stood behind a wide pillar near the lobby entrance, partially hidden, and I watched. And as I watched, something inside me started to crack. Not loudly, the way old wood cracks in cold weather. Quietly and all at once. He smiled at her. That specific smile. The one I had not seen directed at me, and I could not remember how long. My hands moved before my brain did. I opened my camera. I recorded 30 seconds. His face. Her face. His hand near hers. The closeness. The ease of it. The warmth that I had been missing from my own home. Then I stopped the recording, and I stood there behind that pillar with my phone pressed against my chest, trying to decide what to do next. I thought about walking over. I thought about calling his name and watching his face change. I thought about turning around and driving home and pretending I had never come. I thought about all of it, and then I did something I had not planned to do. I opened my messages, and I sent the video to his mother. My mother-in-law. Her name is Patricia. She had been in our lives since the beginning, since before we were even married. She had been the one who told me, the week before our wedding, that her son was the kind of man who needed to be reminded that he was loved because he had spent so long not being sure he deserved it. I had always remembered that. Patricia was not just family. She was someone I trusted. I typed 3 words. Just 3. Can you explain? And then I stood behind that pillar, and I waited. 15 minutes passed. Maybe a little more. I watched my husband and the woman talk. A waiter brought them each a glass of water. She showed him something on her phone, tilting the screen toward him. He nodded slowly, seriously, the way he does when he is concentrating on something important. She looked tired, I noticed. Not the glamorous kind of tired. The real kind. The kind that comes from carrying something heavy. My phone buzzed. It was Patricia. Not a text. A call. I stepped toward the side hallway near the restrooms and answered quietly. Claire. Her voice was immediate and soft. Where are you right now? I'm in the lobby, I said. I can see them. A long pause. Claire, honey, I need you to listen to me. What is happening? My voice cracked on the last word, and I pressed my hand over my mouth to steady it. That woman, Patricia said slowly, carefully, is Marcus's colleague. Her name is Diane. Her husband passed away 6 weeks ago. She and Marcus worked together for 3 years before she transferred to the Phoenix office, and she reached out to him last month because she is struggling. She needed someone to talk to who knew her husband, someone who worked with him. I heard the words. I understood them individually, but they did not arrange themselves into meaning for several seconds. She lost her husband, Patricia continued. And your husband has been meeting her for coffee twice, maybe 3 times, to check in on her because she has no family here in the city. He asked me not to tell you because he did not want you to worry, and he did not think it was his story to share. I leaned against the wall of that side hallway, and I felt the floor tilt slightly underneath me. He asked you not to tell me, I repeated. He said he did not want to make it into something, she said. He said Diane needed discretion, and he was trying to respect that. She paused. Claire, he should have told you. I told him that from the beginning. A husband should not keep things from his wife, even things that are innocent. I told him that. I ended the call gently, and I stood in that hallway for a moment that felt much longer than it was. And then I did something I had not expected to do. I walked out of the hallway, and I walked straight toward my husband's table. He saw me when I was about 10 feet away. His expression shifted immediately, not with guilt, but with something more complicated. Confusion. Then recognition. Then something that looked like dread, but not the kind that comes from being caught. The kind that comes from knowing that a conversation you have been avoiding is now standing right in front of you. The woman, Diane, followed his gaze and looked up at me. I stopped at the edge of their small arrangement of chairs. My husband started to stand. "Claire," he said. "What are you?" "I sent your mother a video," I said quietly. Not angry, just honest. "I saw the two of you from across the lobby and I recorded it and I sent it to her. She just called me and explained." I looked at Diane. "I'm so sorry for your loss. I mean that sincerely." Diane looked at me with tired, kind eyes and nodded once. "Thank you," she said softly. "Your husband has been very kind to me." My husband was on his feet now, standing close to me, and his voice was low. "Claire, I should have told you. I know that." "I know. You should have," I said. And that was when something shifted. Because I had intended to be steady. I had intended to handle this with composure, because composure is the armor I have worn for the last several years whenever I felt something too large to manage in public. But standing there in that hotel lobby with the amber light and the low hum of other people's conversations around us, something inside me gave way. I thought I started and stopped. I pressed my lips together. When I saw you sitting there, when I saw you smiling at her the way you were smiling, I realized I could not remember the last time you smiled at me like that, and that hurt me more than any explanation could fix. My husband did not say anything right away. He looked at me for a long moment with an expression I had not seen on his face in a very long time. Diane quietly picked up her jacket from the back of her chair and touched my husband's arm gently. "I'll give you two a moment," she said. And then she walked toward the bar with the grace of someone who has learned, through grief, exactly what matters and what does not. My husband took a step closer to me. "You're right," he said, "and I've known it." I looked at him. "Then why didn't you say something?" He exhaled slowly and looked down for a moment before looking back at me. "Because I didn't know how," he said. "Because every time I thought about bringing it up, I told myself you were busy and I didn't want to add to your plate. I told myself it would get better on its own. I told myself we were fine." He paused, and I think I was scared that if I said it out loud, it would mean something was actually wrong. "Something has been wrong," I said. Quietly, but clearly. "I know," he said again. "I don't want to keep being two people living politely beside each other," I said. "I want us back. I want Lily to grow up watching us the way I grew up watching my parents, laughing in the kitchen, reaching for each other's hands because it's a habit, because it's as natural as breathing." My voice broke slightly on the last sentence. "That's what I want." My husband reached out and took my hand, right there in the lobby of the Meridian Hotel with strangers moving around us and low music playing from somewhere above. "Me too," he said. "I want that too." We stood there for a moment, just holding on, and something that had been pulled very tight in my chest began, slowly, to ease. We sat down together at a small table near the window, and we talked for 2 hours. Not about logistics, not about Lily's schedule or the mortgage or which car needed an oil change. We talked about the last year, about how we had each felt the distance growing and had each assumed the other was content with it, or hadn't noticed it, or preferred it. About how silence between two people who love each other can become a kind of prison when neither one knows how to name the door. He told me that watching Diane grieve her husband had affected him more than he had let on. That sitting across from a woman who would do anything to have one more ordinary evening with the person she loved had made him look at his own ordinary evenings differently. "I kept thinking," he said, "we have this. We have all of this and we're not even looking at each other." I thought about how many evenings I had sat 3 feet from him and been 1,000 miles away. Toward the end of the conversation, he pulled out his phone and showed me a text thread. He had been messaging a marriage counselor 2 weeks ago, just asking about availability, not committing to anything yet, the way you circle something in a catalog before you've decided you need it. He had ploply. Less. He hadn't told me, he had been working up to it. I looked at the thread, and then I looked at him. "Make the appointment," I said. He smiled. That specific smile. And this time it was for me. On the drive home, I thought about how differently that night could have ended. How easy it would have been for this story to be a different one entirely. How close I came to turning around in that parking garage and driving home in silence and letting the ache quietly continue. I thought about the moment I sent that video to Patricia. My hands shaking, my mind already building a version of events that had no room for innocence or explanation, or a husband who was trying, imperfectly, to be a decent person to a grieving woman while quietly falling apart in his own marriage. I had been so ready to believe the worst. And I understood why, because when you have been feeling invisible for long enough, your mind starts to invent reasons for it. That night, after we put Lily to bed and she was finally asleep with her stuffed rabbit tucked under one arm, my husband and I sat on the back porch together. We did not talk much. We made tea. We watched the yard in the dark. At some point, his hand found mine on the armrest, and he held it, not dramatically, just held it, the way you hold something you do not want to set down. I thought about how Patricia must have felt getting that video. I called her the next morning to apologize for putting her in the middle of it, and she laughed in that warm, direct way she has. "Don't apologize," she said. "If it got you two talking, then it did something right." Then she was quiet for a moment, and she said, "My son loves you, Claire. He's just forgotten how to show it. And I think maybe you both forgot how to look for it." She was right. That is exactly what had happened. We are not fixed. I want to be honest about that too, because I think stories that end with perfect resolution do a disservice to real people living real lives. We made an appointment with the counselor. We have agreed to one evening a week that belongs only to us, after Lily is in bed, no laptops, no phones. Just two people who chose each other, trying to remember what that choice looked like in the light. It is not dramatic. It is not the kind of thing that makes a good headline. But it is real, and it is ours. There is something I keep thinking about from that night. It is not the moment I saw my husband across the lobby, or the moment I thought my world was ending, or even the moment he took my hand. It is a smaller moment than all of those. It is the moment Diane picked up her jacket and quietly stepped away so that two married people could find their way back to each other. She had lost the person she loved. She knew exactly what was at stake in a way that she would carry forever. And she stepped back without hesitation. I think about what she understood that we had forgotten. That presence is not a given. That the person sitting across from you at an ordinary table on an ordinary Thursday is not guaranteed to be there. That love does not require grand gestures or dramatic moments to stay alive. It just requires two people paying attention. We had stopped paying attention. We are learning, slowly and imperfectly, to look again. If you are watching this and something in this story felt familiar, I hope you do not wait for a moment of panic to remind you of what you have. I hope you reach out first. I hope you say the thing you have been holding back because you did not know how to start. I hope you take the hand that is right there beside you. It is usually not too late. It just feels that way when we have been quiet for too long. Thank you for being here with me tonight. If this story meant something to you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And I will see you in the next one.